Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of February, 2022. We're going to start off with the sound saying from Psalms 55:22. And it says, "Cast thy burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved." Cast thy burden onto the Lord. If you have any burden, any worries, any concerns, cast them onto the Lord, for he can handle them better than you. And he will do what? He will do as he say. He will sustain you. He will give you what you need. He already knows what's going on with you. He's just waiting for you to ask him for his help. He's always waiting. There's never a busy line to God. There's never a dial tone. It's a straight connection. Once you bow your knees, that's a straight connection unto God. There's no interference at all. You can just lay it all on him, and he will take it from there. But the thing with that is that once you give it to him, you must walk away from it. You must not be concerned about it anymore. You must not let it occupy any amount of your mind, spirit, and soul. It is done. That's why you cast it to him. You give him the whole thing and let God deal with it. And he will deal with it in his own way, in his own time, and you will like the result. All right? It may free you from something. He may be trying to free you from something. So stop struggling with your issues and just give it to God. Period. All right? So do as it say. Cast thy burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Never. Never. He didn't say he would not cause problems to come towards us. That's for the evil and the righteous. Problems will come towards us, period. But the difference between the wicked and the righteous is that we deal with things differently. We approach it differently. We look upon the problem differently. We have a different set of eyes. Okay? And when you're righteous, if the problem is too big, you cast that thing immediately. You don't sit there and shuffle with it. No. You cast that thing immediately. Why? Because it's too hard for you. Okay? And whatever God decides, he will always give you the strength to sustain the pain. If there's pain behind it, he will give you the strength. Whatever you need, he will provide. All right? But you have to trust. The back is coming from Hebrews 4:16. "Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." You must come boldly to that throne. You don't even have to come boldly. You can come trembling to the throne. It don't make no difference. Just get there to the throne. Because in many issues in life, man can't help you with it. And man is helpless towards you at all. So you might as well go to your true helper, the one who you cannot see, but you know is there. You know he exists. In the same way that you can't see the wind, but you know it's there. You can feel it, so you know it's there. Okay? You can't see the air you breathe, but you know it's there. God is the same way. He is invisible to your naked eye, but he is more real than all the trees on earth. because he made them. All right? So let's read that again. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help us in time of need. Okay? And when we obtain mercy, we learn to give mercy as well. We learn to be merciful. When God is merciful towards us, we learn to be merciful towards others. All right? Especially those that are the most difficult to deal with in life. And we all have them all around us. They're at our homes. They're in our family. They're in our community. They're at your job. They are among the people that you pass by on your way to your job or the grocery store. You can't avoid them. But this world is made of two things: the good and the evil. All right? And when the evil does get before you, it is not you that should be fearful. For while you are a son or a daughter of the Most High God, you have no reason to fear anything that is evil that comes before you at all. The only thing you need to do is start speaking to the Lord right away, and you don't have to move your lips. And in the end, they will see that it is they that should have been afraid of thee. Okay? All right. Now, I took the liberty. Oh, yes, we have to do our Psalms. I normally don't split up a reading in the morning. But because this reading is tied to what we're trying to finish tonight or today, I'm going to just read a very small portion of Proverbs 6. Okay, Proverbs 6 is a very, very long reading. It's 35 verses. I'm not cherry picking here, because normally we here at Spiritual Water, we read the whole thing, but there are exceptions to the rule. That doesn't apply to everything. There's no exception to the rule of stealing. There's no exception to the rule of cheating. There are no exceptions for that which is wicked. All right? Well, because of the material we're trying to cover today, we will just go to what we need out of this Proverbs. Okay? Let's begin. So, I will start with Proverbs 12, and I will end with 19. It says, a scoundrel and villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth, a scoundrel and villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth, who winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, and motions with his fingers, who plots evil with deceit in his heart. He always stirs up dissension. Therefore disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. That means there's no escape. There's no escape to your judgment. Man can't help you at all, because it didn't come from man. Okay? So there's no escape. And it happens just like that. Suddenly. Without warning. Therefore disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: hefty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension among brethren or among a community. Okay? These are just 7 of the things the Lord hates, but there's actually 60 of them. And I will go over a few of them as I read my notes to you. All right? So we're going to start with there. Turn to Daniel. But before we go to Daniel's interpretation, I have some more good stuff for you. All right. The vision of Daniel talks about beast. I just want to clarify what these beasts symbolize. Okay? The 4 beasts refers to 4 worldly empires. Okay? And as you can remember, the very last beast is the one that troubled him the most. And as I said to you yesterday, his vision included our time today. Did I not tell you that yesterday? That 4th beast refers to our time today. The 1st and 2nd and 3rd beast, it referred to the times of the biblical time, but that 4th beast represents us today. So he was prophesying on something that would happen years after he has been gone. Imagine. And to the letter, it is correct according to what's going on in our world. It is correct to the letter. All right? So the 4 beasts is reference for world empires. And these empires were very, very strong empires in the same way that this country is a strong country indeed. All right? This country, this time, this era is part of this prophecy. All right? So the 4 beasts reference 4 world empires symbolized as 4 beasts. The first beast, it was in regards to King Nebuchadnezzar's deliverance from a beastly existence and his insight into the true nature of God. Okay, that was the first beast that came from the sea. All right. The second beast, it referred to the Middle Persian Empire. Okay, this was during the biblical times. The rising. And it indicates one of the kingdoms, Persians, will be dominant. The Persian was dominant at one time. So was the Romans. Very powerful empires the Romans were. Okay? The 3 ribs of the creatures in the creature's mouth symbolizes nations that were devoured by the Medians and Medos and the Persians. Okay? So the 3 ribs represented Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. The ribs in his mouth were these kingdoms. Okay? And as you can see what happened in Babylon, what happened in Egypt and Lydia. Read your Bible. Okay? The third beast represents Greece, an empire known for the swiftness of its conquest. Okay. The 4th are predictives of the four-way division of the empire following Alexander the Great's death. The fourth beast represents the Roman Empire, a mighty kingdom that indeed crushed all its fowls, and it did. All right. So Daniel's vision of the four beasts provided a prophetic look at future world events. Future. That includes us in this prophetic vision of Daniel's. So Daniel's vision of the four beasts provided a prophetic look at the future world events. Looking back from our perspective, we see these events as world history and can easily see the correlation between each beast and a world empire. In the beginning, when it talks about the first, second, and third beast, it speaks of kings. When it talks about the fourth beast, it speaks of leaders, because now we have no kings. We have leaders now. And this is why when it speaks about that fourth beast, it didn't refer to them as kings and empires. It referred to them as leaders. That's what we have today. Leaders. Okay? However, there is more to Daniel's vision, and some of it is yet future, even for us. Right? As for the interpretation of the vision is given to Daniel, the prophet asks specifically about the fourth beast and its horns. Daniel 7:19. Read it for yourself. And the angel explained, the beast's 10 horns are 10 kings who will rise from the kingdom, verse 24 in Daniel. The little imposing horn with the eyes and the mouth of a human represents a later king. Before him, 3 of the original kings will be subdued. The evil king will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people, verse 25. He will seek to change times and laws, and he will exert oppression, power over God's people, verse 25, for 3.5 years. This world leaders, now we go to our time, that Daniel saw is the Antichrist. That was that fourth beast. When you speak of the Antichrist, you speak of it in our time. Antichrist comes up in our time. Okay? This world leader that Daniel saw is the Antichrist, the ruler who will come. That was that terrible fourth beast. Okay? Who set up abominations, and he confirmed a covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and obligations to cease, and because of the protection of abominations, and they do protect abominations today. In the first, second, and third, with the first, second, and third beast, these things were happening, but they were not out in the open as it is today. People were too terrified to have a gay parade during those times. Wonderful times indeed. Okay. So, and he shall confirm a covenant with the many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he should cause the sacrifice and obligations to cease. And because of the protection of abominations, there should be a desolation, even until that the consumption and what is determined shall be poured out upon the desolate. Okay, so we haven't gotten there yet, but we're working our way to it. Let me read it to you in another form, so that you can better understand it. He will confirm his promise with many for 1 set of 7 times period. In the middle of the 7 time period, he will stop the sacrifices and food offerings. This will happen along with disgusting things that cause destruction until those time periods come to an end. It has been determined that this will happen to those who destroy the city. Okay? Proverbs 6:16 says that there are 6 things the Lord hates, and we read that. He hates a hefty eyes, lying tongues. What do these lying tongues do today? They convict the innocent. They cause defamation of character. They falsely accuse people of rape. And these people do not come in 1 and 2. They come in great numbers, Father God. And because the world sees that these accusations are coming in great numbers, just that alone, the world perceives that what they're saying is true. Okay? This is what a lying tongue will do. The greater the mass, the more the world will perceive as it being true. And therefore, the downfall of that individual will also be true. And as you can see, so many men have had to deal with the same situation, many of them being innocent. That's why God does not like a lying tongue. This is why a lying tongue can be such a dangerous thing. And these individuals, mind you, are godless. They do not believe that they will suffer any judgment for their deeds. They continue in their charade and destroying the lives of many with their lies. Lying tongue convicting the innocent, defamation of character, hands that shed innocent blood. The most innocent individual in our time are those in the womb. They have no defense except for those on the outside trying to fight for them. Their mother is not their defense. And their mother should be their first defense. But the mother is the killer. Okay? Stay with me now. Don't lose me. Hands that shed innocent blood. Abortions. A heart that devises wicked schemes. Gender change. It's a wicked scheme. Marriage degradation is a wicked scheme. Tampering with election procedure is a wicked scheme. We're not done yet. Protecting the wicked, LGBT laws, BLM, KKK, all of them are wicked organizations. Do they have protection now? Absolutely. And does God not say to us that we are not to protect the wicked? Okay, this is the disgusting abominations Daniel dream spoke of. Disgusting. Protecting the wicked, LGBT laws, BLM, who squander millions of dollars out of people. Black men, women, and children are dying. Do you see them? No. Their job is done. They're rich. Did they ever care? No. Feet that are quick to rush into evil. False imprisonment is evil. When you are quick to convict someone, not based on any concrete evidence. DNA is concrete evidence. Eyewitness is concrete evidence. Circumstantial evidence is not concrete at all. Okay? Destruction of personal property or parts of a city. Theft in broad daylight. This is all going on today, in our time. All right? False witnesses who put out lies. A person who stirs up conflict in the community, among family and friends, causing distinction, division. This person is called a scorner of discord. It is spoken of Proverbs 6:19. Okay? More laws than God that we practice today. Customs of pagan, Leviticus 18. Idols, 2 Chronicles 15. These movie stars are idols to many people. They're gods to them. They scream and holler like they're Jesus. When you go to their concerts, you go and you come out the same way. You cannot take your sick to them. But then they fall out and cry and do all this foolishness because someone can entertain you. Cheating, Micah 6:10. Lost souls, Revelations 21:8. Forward men, perverse, Proverbs 3. A proud look, Proverbs 6. A false balance of scales, Proverbs 11. Sacrifice of the wicked. Do you know today they are still doing human sacrifices? Today. Targeting children for body parts. A little boy, fortunately, got away. This was last year. The little boy is about 6 years old. The little boy had a gash from one side of his head to the other. True story. Justifying the wicked, as we talked about. Refusing to hear the laws, not the laws of man, but the laws of God, Proverbs 28. Homosexuality, Leviticus 18. Wrong clothes, wearing clothes of the opposite sex, Deuteronomy 22. Lying with ministry women, Ezekiel 18. Injustice, Ezekiel 18 talks about that as well, which runs rapid today. How rapid? Like a 50-foot tsunami coming into land. Incest. Many other sins of the nations. We are all taking part in it today. All of these things are being done today. Okay. But because you have a world that fears not God, they think not of the judgment that comes for their deeds. They have no fear. When you have no fear of something that is true, you will do anything and everything under the sun. Period. And this is the generation. This is the fourth beast that Daniel spoke of. Now let's go to his interpretation. Okay. The interpretation of the dream. I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit, and the vision that passed through my mind disturbed me. I approached one of those standing there and asked him the true meaning of this all. As he told me and gave me the interpretation of these things, the four great beasts are four kingdoms that will rise from the earth. But the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever, yes, forever and ever. In the end, the righteous will rule. In the end, the righteous will rule this land. For it is not of God for the evil to overtake the righteous. It is not of God at all. All right. Then I wanted to know the true meaning of the fourth beast, which was different from all the others and most terrifying. With its iron teeth and bronze claws, the beast that crushed and devoured its victim and trampled under feet whatever was left. I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on his head and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell, the horn that looked more imposing than the others, and that had eyes and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the saints as they do today, defeating them as they do today. This is why a servant, when he tries to read Leviticus 18, talk about homosexuality in a church, suddenly that servant disappears. Now the servants of the church are tiptoeing around the laws of God instead of preaching it boldly as they should. For it is not of God that we should have fear in our spirit. Isn't that what he says? Whatever the consequences is for preaching the word of God, you should be ready. Whatever the consequences. What happened to the servants of the old? Daniel and his 3 friends were willing to go into a furnace 750 degrees hot. These servants today won't even stick their foot in a campfire for God. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the saints and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came a pronounced judgment in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came when they possessed the kingdom. He gave me this explanation. The fourth beast is the fourth kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. Even the earth itself is bleeding, crumbling. If you look at YouTube, you can see chunks of a mountainside just falling to the ground. The sea is at unrest. Cracks all over the earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns and the 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. After them, another king will arise different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saints and try to change the set times and the laws in which he has already accomplished this. That's why it was such a blow and crush to every Christian upon this earth In 2013, when our first Negro president got on national television and announced that same-sex marriages should be sanctioned. He saw the clapping hands in front of him. He didn't see the many tears that came from that, from Christians all around the world, all of them who were proud of him on his inauguration night. Every available soul watched this man dance with his wife on his inauguration night. What a depressing, crushing blow to the God that gave him that seat. Devastating and disgusting. And all the other leaders that have come along, except for Trump, have nearly followed this man, have tried to follow this man's footsteps. Every footstep. Including the one we have in the seat now. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saints and try to change the set times and the laws. The saints will be handed over to him for a time and a half. But the course will sit and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, power, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven will be handed over to the saints, the people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. Did you hear that? In the end, this will be the outcome. Does that mean that we may have less people on earth? It may. If it makes for a better world, it's a good thing. Let me finish. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of the kingdom under the whole earth will be handed over to the saints, the people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. This is the end of the matter. I, Daniel, was deeply troubled by my thoughts, and my face turned pale. But I kept the matter to myself. And this is just one of his other dreams that we will go through. So as you can see, my brothers and sisters, although it may seem like the wicked are having their way in our world, in the end, God always wins. Let me repeat that. In the end, God always wins. He will set things straight in his own time, according to his will, in his own way. And when that time comes, his saints will be ready. Thank you for joining us here, Spiritual Water. My name is Brenda Guerrero, and as always, may the peace of God be upon you. May the protection of God surround you and all those you love. And may the will of God, not man's will, not yours or mine, God's will, be manifested upon our earth. For it is not fair to our children that they should have to live in such a evil, wicked, infested world that has turned into just one giant swamp. And what's in a swamp? Nothing good. We can't even bathe in it. Just not much in it you can eat. A swamp is worthless even in the natural. A world that looks like a swamp is a worthless world indeed. But the fight is not over yet. We will always win in the end. Don't forget to pray constantly. Pray for yourself. Pray for your family. Pray for your neighbors. Pray for the leaders of this country. Pray for the army of God. Because when something kicks off in this world, that army of God will need much prayers. And they have already identified themselves with God. Last year, I was browsing through YouTube. To my surprise and delight, I found the Army, the Marines singing the days of Jacob. That's how this army identified themselves with the most powerful God on earth. And if this army has to be used, they will be victorious indeed. This is a great country. There's good reason why people want to be here. But we cannot allow the wicked of the land to continue to pollute it. We must stand up and fight for what is right in the sight of God. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll do this again. Have a wonderful evening.